Nailed it.
Hey, I'm Bob.
I'm Jake.
We are Nailed It the Podcast.
We're getting better at that.
We are. Yes, it's synchronization.
This is episode
8.
8?
Episode 8. Yep.
Episode 8. And with this episode, I wanted to bring to the table, I know we've talked about, our start in music and things like that, kind of how we got started, what we started playing with, like drums and guitars and things like that. But I wanted to talk about on this episode musical influences, like what got us into being a musician, kind of sprout from there, where we got started or who we were listening to that made us really want to be who we are.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, go right ahead then, please. You thought about this, so you probably have it queued up and ready to fly.
I mean, I'm always ready to talk about my favorite musicians and things that got me into music. For me, it started when, good Lord, I'd have to say 5-6 years old. I was given a burnt copy of the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, and one of the first songs on that track was No More Mr. Nice Guy by Alice Cooper, and one of the other CDs that I had gotten was the very best of Kiss, and the first song I had heard off of that was Detroit Rock City. So from the get-go, I was hearing Alice Cooper and Kiss, which, like, you know me, you know my interests in music, and you know that Kiss is a gigantic one for me, as well as Alice Cooper. Going back to the Dazed and Confused soundtrack that I had, it was a 2-disc collection. I had my little portable CD player, if you remember when those used to be a thing.
Yeah, I remember.
I used to have this little Ninja Turtle portable CD player, and I would switch discs from disc 1 to disc 2 because there was about 2 songs on one that I liked and 2 songs on another that I liked. Because I didn't care to listen to any other song that was on there, but I knew No More Mr. Nice Guy and School's Out were on one disc, and I'd switch over, and then also AC/DC was on the other disc. So I'd switch back and forth.
This all sounds amazing. Just right up my alley musically.
I was going to say, I know bands like Alice Cooper, AC/DC, and Kiss are right in your repertoire.
Yeah, they're really high on my list of things I don't listen to. But they're classics for a reason, and obviously they hit a nerve for you, so as a youngster.
Yeah, absolutely. To the point where when I finally got to see Kiss, when was that? 2019, I think, is when I saw Kiss. It was the summer of 2019. Their opening song was Detroit Rock City. Just for me, that felt like such a full circle moment, because that song got me into my taste in music, and the first song hearing from these guys was that song. I don't know, that made me feel like almost kind of emotional when I heard that. What about you? Like, what was one of the first bands or the first band or song that you heard that got you into music?
Well, my musical journey is a little different than yours. Although I've always listened to music, I was always a popular music guy, whatever's on the radio. I liked what I liked. I listened to what I listened to because I had no aspirations of being a musician, mind you. That's what I was doing. So that's where I grew up, my love for 80s stuff and my huge love for Huey Lewis and the News. But I grew up in, a suburban, almost country setting. So of course it was, as I got into my teens, I had a very good friend of mine, my brother from another mother, Ryan Trossel, who's like, hey, listen to this. This is NWA.
Oh.
This is Ice Cube. You're not supposed to listen to this stuff. So I started going from listening to pop radio to, I really always was a kid, enjoyed Michael Jackson and stuff like that. And I didn't realize how musical that stuff, or like, what that gave to music.
Yeah.
How important it was at the time. It was just, that's what's cool.
Right.
But listening to hip hop, like hardcore, at the time, what they then turned gangster rap, I don't think that's a thing anymore, made a huge difference in what I thought music was supposed to be. How you delivered, how you lyrically things are put, how you tell a story.
Right.
So that, I think, without knowing it, was informing what I liked about music, what I like about being a singer. I wish it would have given me more push to write, but that's beyond a point. But I didn't get into performing till I was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
I was literally your age when first time I was on stage, all but. When I turned 21, I started working with a fellow named Jason Fry, J Money. And at the time, he was in a very locally and starting to somewhat be regionally big band called Partial Post. They were very big around here, the late 90s, early 2000s, the new metal scene, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And I started working with Jay, and he's like, hey, come see my band. I'm like, I don't do that. I've seen like one concert in my life, buddy. I don't. Going out to see them not only do covers, and at the time it was, your hard rock stuff, Godsmack, Stain, all that stuff, the early 2000s, late 90s, Limp Bizkit, stuff that was big then.
Right.
Well, again, new metal stuff. But they also had original stuff. Now, Jay was a very rap rocker. He definitely was a rapper. He was very good on his feet lyrically. He could freestyle pretty well, and they had that good, West Borlandy kind of vibe going. And I really just got taken into the scene big time. So I would say as a whole, that genre of music is what got me. And watching other live performers, I was at a point in my life then I was like, well, why not be in a band? I've literally seen worse bands than this.
Right.
So I can do this.
Yeah.
It took me 20 years, but to get to feel like I'm comfortable at it, I would say back when I started, one of my biggest influence was Stained.
Really?
They were huge. Outside had just hit big, and then it's been a while. And I really just loved Aaron Lewis's voice, and that old stuff I really do still enjoy.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's the kind of thing I want to do. We're gonna do this. That's the kind of stuff I want to write. That's the kind of feel. It seems like it's just so. Doesn't go track back. It seems like it's so recent, although it's not anymore. It's 20 plus years old. The Linkin Parks, the Limp Bizkits, the Korns, and not even Korn at the beginning. It took me a while to get into them. Just that style of music was what I really connected with. I was in my mid 20s. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This will be here forever.
Right.
This will never go out of style. And that's where it started. But that's also right around that same times where I started to develop my love for Breaking Benjamin.
Okay.
So if there's going to be one thing that really influenced where I thought I wanted to go, it was my obsessive listening to Breaking Benjamin. Their first two albums, I've probably listened to those more than any other thing in my life, if I was keeping track. So that's the kind of stuff that got me going early on. But, in my youth, again, it was whatever was on the radio. I really clicked with Huey Lewis my whole life. At one point I used to call it a guilty pleasure, and I realized there's nothing guilty about liking that music. Greatest pop writing band and person, I think, in the last 40 years.
I always knew that you were a big Huey fan.
Oh, yeah.
I always kind of forget, though, your love for, like, NWA and that genre.
Well, not just that genre. And that stuff I'll still listen to this day because I sound like a grumpy old man here, but I have an issue with current hip-hop probably for the last 10 or 15 years because honestly, it's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It's generational. I don't think that current stuff tells the story as concise and well laid out as the old stuff does in hip-hop. It wasn't just that my buddy introduced me to NWA and all that gangster stuff. It was... I got through him and through another friend, I got introduced to Tupac.
Okay.
And it may seem weird for people that would think of me in that light. That man, to me, was the greatest that ever picked up a mic in the hip-hop scene because there's a story there. He explained to me his life in a way that I would never have understood.
Okay.
All the rappers then were talking about what was going on in their hood and what, their lives coming up in the poverty, Compton, whatever, but something about the way he explained where he grew up, and it just reached out to me in a different way, and that really kept me away from rock music for a long time. Not because I didn't like it,
yeah,
but I didn't have any interest in it because that was how I wanted my music delivered to me.
Okay.
I'm glad I had that influence, and I think that informs who I am as a cover artist now. That's why I'm not afraid to just try anything. I'll go out of genres, whatever. I don't want to get pigeonholed into, oh, you guys just do that.
Yeah.
Because I like everything, and I don't see why anybody else can't. I was a little hesitant. Again, we talked about this before, the country stuff I do now, a few songs, but it's the same thing. People like it. Why shouldn't we do it?
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that influenced me, but I didn't grow up playing instruments either. Again, I didn't start doing any of this till I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
I was in choruses and band when I was in middle school and stuff. Played drums. I think we've talked about that before. But
yeah.
Specific artists, none of that hit me until I was in my mid-20s, and the first influence was probably Stain, but it very chiefly became Breaking Benjamin.
Okay. Yeah. For me, when I decided that I wanted to, play music and be a front man or just be someone that's on stage and entertaining was I used to go see my older brother's band play at like Under 20 Fest at Lebanon Valley College, shows like that. And I was like, that looks like so much fun. And I enjoyed the music they played. And it was, think of like the tonality of like A Bullet for My Valentine with the writing style of 80s hair metal.
Well, that's not that far off, because Bullet for My Valentine's a band that I'm very much into, and they consider themselves more of a thrash metal band and the 80s style than what they were lumped into the metalcore stuff they were pumped into. And if you listen to them enough, that makes sense. So what you're saying doesn't seem like too far apart, really.
So I'd go see them, and I wanted to do this so bad. And then listening to bands like Kiss and Alice Cooper and watching how they performed on stage with it, like all the theatrics and things like that, made me love the theatrical side of being a frontman and just being an entertainer. So when I finally got into, you know, singing and things like that and wanting to be a performer, I didn't know how to be entertaining.
No one does. No one does.
But this is what changed it. My older brother, he had a VHS tape of Skid Row, and it had a live performance of them doing the song Monkey Business. When Sebastian Bach comes out and he hits that big high note in the very beginning, and you see him twirling the mic with the cable and everything, and he's just running around, jumping, and, you know, just being who he is on stage, made me realize, like, okay, you kind of have to go in with the zero care of what people think of you, I guess, essentially.
Right.
In order to put on an entertaining performance. Yeah, sure, if you did these moves just out in the open without being on stage, it'll look goofy. But if you do this on stage, people are going to see a character or see a depiction of you.
Right. There's a persona.
Yeah. All I had to do was see that video, that live video once. I kind of knew how or what I wanted to do. Essentially, like how I wanted to move, how I wanted to portray an on-stage persona in my own bands.
Well, and so you studied it almost theatrically.
Yes.
Which I never did. One of the more fun things, one of the interesting things that would always happen to me when I first started out, my first couple years, was I would play somewhere with someone I went to school with or grew up with, had it since I had moved from home, and they were like, "Wait, you get up in front of people and sing?" Like, I wasn't very vocal. I was vocal around my friends, you know.
Yeah.
But I was not one of those guys that, you know, was into out doing plays or, you know, watching like, oh, I'm going to copy that every move of this or that. So I had no idea how to perform on stage when I got on. My stage performance was informed by, previously mentioned, by Jay Money. I watched him so much, I think I started just doing what he did. So I didn't really know what my thing was. For years, you know, back in the days when I had to use a corded mic because Lord knows at that time, there was no such thing as an affordable wireless microphone, although that was the shining jewel of my first time I got a wireless mic, the handheld, because I wasn't playing. I was like, oh my God. I used to just hold the cord, wrap the cord like some guys do. You know, guys all have their thing.
Yeah.
I would wrap it a couple times in my left hand and just hold it on my chest.
Really?
And sing. And there's plenty of pictures back in the day. I was just literally just holding my hand there, the left hand on my chest the whole time. Just kind of standing there. I had no stage presence other than being there.
Huh.
And I was very much a guy who would put his leg up on the monitor all the time. It became a running joke that some of the girls that used to come out and see us, our friends would stand in front of me at shows and do the Captain Morgan, basically. But I had to find, and I don't know what my thing is, a totally different game these days because I play guitar. As the only singer in my band and playing guitar on top of that, I don't get to do anything but stay at my microphone and play.
Yeah.
Like that was an adjustment I had to make too, because every other project I ever did up except for acoustic stuff I was free to do whatever. I could move around. I like that. You know, that's why when I get to do Fell From Zero gigs or even the Next to Nothing gigs, I get to move around.
Yeah.
Then I developed what I do. There's things I do on stage. There's things I consciously know I've developed over the years that I do. Like, oh, this is where you do hit this, or this is you're going to switch hands here.
Yeah.
You know, from doing repetition of bands. So I guess years of all those other things just got me there. You know, all the influences, all the other musical styles, and watching people. I mean, I'm sure I've watched plenty of videos over the years. I mean, music videos actually used to be a thing in my day. And I've seen lots of stuff that I could draw from and think back and think, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
I don't think any one of those, there's no singular thing for me. Like you have specific instances where you're like, that, I watched that over and over, or I listened to that over and over and it gave me this idea.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I think I listened and watched things over and over, but not with the intent of learning from it.
Okay.
I think I learned from it because I watched it so much.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like I had no specific focus because again, I didn't grow up with rock star dreams or a guitar in my hand. I didn't start playing guitar till I was 39. Like I just don't, not seriously. I just think that everybody finds their way a different way. And for you, it sounds like you had a very specific path.
Yeah.
Once you knew, it got you early enough. For me, music was entertainment, was a getaway. As much as reading a book or watching a movie, you know what I mean? It had an entertainment value.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like for you, it was something you wanted to hold on to and get to.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like from the time I saw those artists, you know, Alice Cooper, Skid Row, and Kiss, AC/DC, seeing how they acted and everything, it seemed to me like that was almost like, in a sense, like a way to get away from the reality. You know, be a character or be a persona that you want to portray and be the entertainer that you want to be.
Right.
It's almost kind of like the thing that Gene Simmons always says when he said about, you know, when he formed Kisses, they wanted to be the band that they never saw. In a sense, it was kind of the same thing where it was, you know, I wanted to be the performer that I thought people should see or people would want to see.
Right.
I may be wrong, but
well, no, but that's a great way to go about it.
yeah.
So, you know, I absolutely get that. That's probably, I don't think you necessarily have, well, you have a unique perspective or story because everybody's is unique. Nobody has the same story.
Right.
But yours isn't necessarily something that's not the same kind of track other people have followed.
Right.
You know, there's probably people that had the same kind of idea about whatever artist they fell in love with and what watched, you know, and wanted to be musicians about it. I guess I've always come to it from I'm always playing catch up.
Okay.
I started after everybody I know that's in the scene, all the guys that are in bands with were playing their whole lives, got it, you know, or started years and years before I did. I always have been the one like, well, I want to be part of this, and I've got to play. I got to start running while they're walking, so I can be on the same level. And I think that's why I do so much over the years, getting so many projects, do so many things. My love and interest in doing all this sometimes supersedes my need for a day off. It also, I work really hard to be as good as some of the guys I know that were born with it.
Right.
I believe I was born with an artistic talent that lends to music. I used to draw a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a big comic book guy. I mean, I guess I still am. Not a big, but I mean, I guess I still am a guy. I found music became where my art outlet was, and I stopped picking up the pencil, stopped writing, stopped doing things. You know, so I used to also try and write, you know, like short stories and stuff.
Yeah.
I found that music's where I want to be, but because I waited so long, I always feel like I'm 2 steps forward or 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that comes along like you, for instance, that makes me realize how much time I wasted and how much I still have to learn, even though I'm getting older every day. But I'm not going to stop doing that. It's what I like to do. So,
right.
And that comes from the very first time I thought, that's cool. Is that a song? You know, and at what point in our lives how young are we when we realize we understand music? When our mothers or our dads are singing it to us
right
in the crib, do we recognize it then? You won't remember that.
Right.
I don't think we're physically capable of remembering that, but it's interesting what music can mean to people. So
it's funny like that you mentioned that, because from what I was told, and this is actually this was told to me by a mutual friend that we discovered. It was a mutual friend about a year or two ago, Sarah.
Yeah.
If you remember how we discovered this,
right.
My former daycare teacher, or whatever you want to call whatever she was, basically used to watch me in daycare, had told me, you know, not too terribly long ago, that even when I was that young, I always had a draw to music. She used to play music, and I'd sit there right by like the little boom box and listen to it, whatever CD or cassette tape she'd put in.
Right.
and would play through the whole daycare center, I used to sit right by it just because I wanted to listen to it. I can't confirm nor deny that, because that would sound like something I would do. Even from that young of an age, music was a big part of me, but it wasn't so much that I wanted to perform it as much as I just wanted to listen and enjoy music.
Right, I got you.
And then, the whole Alice Cooper thing, and from what I was saying in the beginning.
Right. Well, you got it all comes around again. You eventually.
Yeah. Another similar story that had happened actually within this past year. I had gotten a message on Facebook from my elementary school music teacher. She had sent me a message basically saying, like, I'm so glad to see that you're doing something with music. And from what she says, I don't remember this. She had told me that I was never big into being seen as a musician in school, which I don't remember, won't deny it.
You're not sure.
Yeah, she used to be like, "Oh, you were always so shy to play music," and, like, when we'd pull students up to the front and everything. She's like, "But I'm so glad to see you, like, up on stage and doing music," to the point where she said her kid watches my videos and wants to be like me.
Oh, now you're influencing the youth of America.
Apparently, which is terrifying. But just that right there made me feel real good.
That's cool.
Rewinding back to influences, once I actually wanted to start playing music and, playing guitar, there was a lot of influences that I would watch. The main ones that I took from were artists like Mick Mars from Motley Crue, Alex Lifeson from Rush. One of my closest friends, his name's Chaz DePaulo. I've mentioned him on a previous episode. When I saw him play for the first time, the day I met him, I was instantly hooked. He got me hooked into that blues scene. I can't call it a soft spot because I will always listen to it. It sparked a love for blues music with artists like B.B. King, Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Buddy Guy, artists like that, which opened a whole new world, not to make an Aladdin reference, but a whole new world of music.
No one would have known that until you made it a thing. Anyway, go on.
But I try to pull from all of these different genres as a guitar player because, over all the instruments I play, I'm a guitar player.
Right.
Hands down. I'll pull from artists like Mick Mars or CeCe DeVille from in that 80s hair scene, which I love so much. But then I'll also pull from the Stevie Ray Vaughans, the Buddy Guys, or go in a little somewhere in between and pull from Ace Frehley, who was another big influence. So a lot of those, sometimes I'd call them stereotypical influences, weren't so much an influence on me as some other guys. Like I've talked to a lot of people, and you'll meet the people who are like, "Oh, Slash is my biggest influence." He's also the biggest influence to 30,000 other people. Which, nothing bad about that. If Slash is what got you into playing, cool. That's just not what got me into it.
See, you have such a well-rounded, sounds like a really cliche thing to say, but you have a very widespread, full spectrum of things that influence you and how you play and what you do. I mean, I guess anybody that's in music, if you don't, I don't see how you keep going. Like, what's the point of playing all the time if you're not influenced by other things? Like, I've met guys who are stuck in, this is the kind of music I do. This is the stuff I'll always do, and just don't even listen to anything else. And I feel that's a little closed-minded, although to each their own. I'm not, I was just saying I'm not here to judge. I'm clearly judging people, but whatever you're into, I guess. It's just I don't feel there'd be any growth in, if you're a musician and you're trying to learn or play or write. You get nowhere if you just keep doing the same thing over and over. I'm not saying you shouldn't develop your own sound or go back to it. If you try and do something different, doesn't work out, and you go back to what you think works. A lot of big bands do that.
Right.
But if you don't expand your horizons a little bit, you're only going to get so far or do so much.
Right.
So that's just my opinion. And this is our podcast, so I can say what I want.
It's my show, and I'm going to do whatever I want.
That's the way it was, and we liked it.
Now, I'd say within the past 3 to 4 years, through many different people that I've met, my influences and tastes have grown, I should say, because of discovering bands like Fleetwood Mac, which I know it's not really discovering, but I guess it could be.
Well, it is. Just because you're aware of a band of that's that storied and been around so long doesn't mean you know their music.
Right. I was introduced to Fleetwood Mac, but it turned out that I actually knew a lot more Fleetwood Mac than I thought, discovering some of the heavier side of things in that realm. Prior to that, I knew of that genre and I somewhat listened to that genre, but it wasn't much. But now it's become almost a staple to my writing style. And
Right.
and you've heard some of my last few written songs for
Right, you're
for
definitely
Lexia.
that's definitely that track.
Yeah. And things like that have really become a staple in the past 3, almost 4 years.
I think that people will always find their way to a thing they like, whether it's music or arts or whatever, football, whatever. But it depends. Some people don't have the dedication to go farther than, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think that's what sets artists apart from the plebes, the regular folk, the people who are just artists from the entertained.
Yeah.
Some people want to be the audience, some people want to be the art. And music is probably a shining example of that. And you've made that point by showing that your influences can be all over the place and can come from anywhere. At any random time in your life, something is introduced to you that you didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what you said when you started this was you were introduced to Alice Cooper, you were introduced to Kiss, you were introduced by way of a movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which that could be a whole podcast episode about how good movie soundtracks can be and how bad they can be. I introduced you to some one soundtrack gem of my youth last week, which does not hold up all that great in the times, but it's still
so good.
Folks, what I'm talking about is the Transformers the movie soundtrack from the animated movie from 1986. It was big for my childhood, but it's just basically a 50-50 split of instrumental songs that are in the for the score and just 80s hair metal bands that probably weren't much, but they tried to sound like other bands. And I know that's Jake's bread and butter some days, so I let him hear some of it, and he was astounded at
I loved
how
every
good it
second
was.
of
And I was
that.
like, 10-year-old Bob is right on board with you, buddy. Although I did sit there just singing along to every song still to this day because I listen to that so much. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things, but that I wouldn't put that. I'd put that as a top soundtrack from my personal life
Okay.
as stuff that influenced me. But going back to it, like we just did a week ago,
Yeah.
it's not something I need to listen to tomorrow again. But there are things out there that I think movies are a great way, or TV shows nowadays. They really use music a lot in TV
Yeah.
shows, but movies are a great way to introduce people to something they've never heard before.
Oh, absolutely.
We touched on when we were doing that little memory lane stroll of the Bill and Ted soundtrack. How there was stuff on there that
There's
I
some
just
good
thought,
ones on
yeah,
there.
I can only listen to so much Firehouse. Or it's just, I think that there's so many ways that music can get to you and cause you to have these influences
Yeah.
that get us to where we are, and then it changes. And you said that you've grown into the wage war and the metalcore scene, so to speak, and 10 years ago, you wouldn't have listened to that.
Yeah.
You could have, but that was not what you were into. And we get older, we get different things influence what we're doing too.
It kind of winding back to how you were talking about like TV shows and movies and the soundtracks from them influencing us. One big one that I will always claim was an influence to the style of music I listened to, aside from the whole Alice Cooper thing, was I used to love watching the VHS tape of a cartoon called Extreme Dinosaurs.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember Extreme Dinosaurs?
Wow.
It's on Tubi.
Of course it is.
And the theme song was so good, and you can tell it was the music of the times. It was this like 80s, not hair, but it was this 80s like hard rock theme. And I was like, this is awesome. And also Biker Mice from Mars.
What a terrible Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ripoff. But anyway, which has one of the best cartoon soundtracks of all time.
Oh, I absolutely loved the Ninja Turtles. But yeah, like basically all those shows like Biker Mice from Mars, Extreme Dinosaurs, Street Sharks, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
All right. Now we're just going down a blatant copyright lawsuit here.
So all of those cartoons always had good music, and they were all kind of, I think minus Cowboys of Moo Mesa, they all had that like hard rock style theme that I used to watch constantly. And a lot of it was I wanted to watch it because I loved the music in it. I loved the theme songs. I loved the outro music when the credits would roll on the tapes. It was just such a good way to hear new music.
Right. Oh, dude, 80s and 90s TV, like cartoon show themes were just over the top and on purpose. Because nowadays you don't even get a theme. There's nothing that can inspire kids now to like music.
Oh no!
It's like, well,
TikTok.
I think
that's what does it.
Yeah, but TikTok gives you snapshots of stuff that isn't the full song. I've been fooled by TikTok thinking, yeah, that's a cool beat, or that's a cool little line, or cool little 30 seconds of a song. Then I go listen to the song, like the rest of this is awful. Like I wouldn't have picked that out of a crowd of songs. I don't know. That I guess that's generational too. I try to keep up best I can, but there's just stuff I'm not gonna like. But that doesn't mean that, some 8 or 10-year-old out there shouldn't get inspired.
I will say though, just to kind of counter that, I have heard some good tunes from TikTok artists.
There's definitely things that are good. It's the stuff that becomes super popular that the whole song itself doesn't hold up to what they're using in a clip.
Right. That I'll agree with.
Or I've noticed in my playings out, and you've actually seen this firsthand with the wedding not that long ago, the reception that played at Burning Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
The younger crowd knows older songs because of TikTok.
Yes.
Not because their parents listen to it or they seek out 80s tunes to listen to. They know it because it becomes a viral hit in something, and then they go listen to it.
Right.
If that's going to make an old catalog of an artist fresh again, good. Everybody wants to live forever, and music is a good way to do that.
Yeah. Another one, so like in that realm of like watching something that gets you attracted to music and keeping it alive, one other one for me was and I think you and I have talked about this off of recordings before, but I grew up watching reruns of The Monkees, and that was a big one for me.
That was probably an influence for me. Again, just like all things at that age, I didn't know it. It would eventually inform what I liked about music and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that show had some kind of subconscious effect on me.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
The Monkees were, like, when I was looking at my first guitars, like what I wanted as a first guitar, I wanted a Gretsch because that's what I knew Mike Nesmith played.
Well, that's product placement, number one.
Yeah.
Whether they knew it or not, it's not as obvious anymore, or back then as it is today. But
yeah, I wanted to play a Gretsch. I wanted a green wool hat. Like I wanted to be Mike Nesmith for the longest time, and I'm forever fortunate to have been able to see the Monkees live when it was the last tour with Davey before he passed away.
Well, that's awesome.
It was at the Hershey Theater.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, Mike Nesmith wasn't with them for that tour. I at least saw Mickey, Davey, and Peter.
You saw the Monkees.
Yeah, I saw the Monkees. The TV show of the Monkees still carried through to, my generation, and obviously influenced me. And that kind of just to relate to, TikTok keeping older music alive for this younger generation.
Or purposely, as in some of the clips there, I ruined it. Those clips I say all the time, like, Taylor Swift sung by Johnny Cash.
I love those.
Damn AI is making things weird. No wonder people are rallying against it.
I loved the one you sent me of Johnny Cash singing Barbie Girl. I'm a Barbie girl.
It's fun. I don't hate that stuff like a lot of people do. I understand why there's certain creators that are against that.
Yeah.
But I think from the pure entertainment and fun aspect of it, I think it's really neat to hear some of that stuff.
Yeah.
When did I play for you last weekend? Hetfield. It was James Hetfield singing something.
Was it Britney?
Maybe. I can't remember what it was, but it sounded just like him.
Oh no, it was it was James Hetfield singing "The Heart Goes On" or "My Heart Will Go On."
Oh yeah. Yep. It was Celine Dion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of the James Hetfield ones, and I think those are some of the best ones.
Well, whatever the AI for James Hetfield's voice has got it down.
I loved the one. I actually just saw it today because 53 days till Christmas. It was James Hetfield singing Mariah Carey.
Yep, she's here, folks.
She's thawed
out. As the time
out.
of this recording, it is November 2nd, and well, Christmas is coming.
And I'm so excited.
Jake's here for it. I get pretty excited like December 1st.
No, as soon as you put the pumpkins away, the Christmas tree comes out.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Oh, we're steadfast. There's no Christmas tree till after Thanksgiving. I grew up that way. We used to do it on like Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
We don't do it in our house till after Thanksgiving. Maybe Thanksgiving Day if we got stuff. We're not too deep into family stuff. But
my mom always had a rule that it would go up on Black Friday.
Black Friday was a big. It moved into that for years too.
Yeah, we'd go out shopping. In the afternoon, get some Black Friday shopping done. Come back in the evening, have a nice Thanksgiving leftovers dinner,
and then put the tree up. Yeah, that works.
And then we would always watch the same movie. We would watch Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Well, of all Christmas stuff.
And for the longest time, believe it or not, I used to hate that movie. For as much as I love Christmas, I used to hate that movie.
That's not my favorite. I think for me, that's actually something that fits into the conversation because Christmas is like a straight up musical holiday.
Absolutely.
There are so many classic songs written about Christmas.
Yeah.
There's not a shit ton of Halloween songs. More currently, you got your Nightmare Before Christmas type stuff.
Yeah.
Which my wife, I came home Halloween from work and she had on. I said, "Are you watching Christmas movies already?" "This is a Halloween movie." I said, "I beg to differ. That's Christmas right in the title."
That's like when people say Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And I believe that could end our whole podcast run. You don't say stuff like that in my house.
Oh, what's the other one that
it's a movie that's based at Christmas time, it's a Christmas movie by default.
That's okay.
That movie happens on Christmas Eve.
That's like I just had this argument the other day with my older brother about saying how Batman Returns is not a Christmas movie.
Technically, it's a Christmas movie by the rule of the cinema gods. If it's made around the Christmas holiday, like the Christmas holiday takes place in the setting of the movie, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
That, my God, Lifetime has built their whole network on that promise.
I'll settle with the Die Hard one, but I will fight with the Batman one just because that out of the 4, I don't know if you want to call them original Batman movies, but out of those 4 movies, that is my least favorite one.
You say 2, the 2 original Batman movies, and then there was the one just this year where they put him in another movie, the only Batman that mattered. I'm pretty sure there's 2 movies in there. I think they were made for Nickelodeon or something. They're not for consumption of people. I believe anything Joel Schumacher made was just a neon gay porn. He may have actually called those movies that at some point.
Oh my God.
No, I get that. I would never pull out that Batman movie and watch it at Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas time.
Right.
And not that I thought growing up that Die Hard had to be watched at Christmas. By no means, but it is set in Christmas, and I have fully gotten on board, these last 10 or so years when they made a big deal. It's a Christmas movie. They made a Christmas book out of it 2 years ago.
Did they really?
They made like an old style, like golden storybooks.
Oh, really?
But it's a Christmas. It looks like a Christmas book you read to kids. It's the story of Die Hard.
That is fantastic.
Illustrated pictures. Yeah, it's basically meant to be a Christmas book.
Yeah.
They don't. Although I heard, the director of the movie flat out said this isn't a Christmas movie.
Well, did you ever see that clip of Bruce Willis?
Oh,
Where he's like, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. 53 days till Christmas. Let's always remember that. Yep. At the time of recording.
Sleigh bells ring.
Oh, that reminds me. I actually wanted to bring this up on recording. I had an idea on the way here that I was going to run by you on recording.
Oh, you want to get me to answer a yes or a no or something to this?
No.
Live, so I can look like a dick when I back out of it later.
No.
Sweet.
This was an idea I had had. I had had similar ideas in the past, but I really think that this, with the time that I have from now until Christmas, I had this idea of a song that I wanted to do. That I wanted to do a cover of the classic song "Do They Know It's Christmas" by Band-Aid.
Right.
But with the local scene.
How fast can we get this done?
I can have an instrumental, you know me, I can have an instrumental done in a weekend. And I want to start reaching out to local singers to be a part of it. And, you know, obviously I want you, myself, other ideas I had were, you know, Dave, and I'm blanking on. I have a list that I had already started writing of people that I wanted to reach out and ask.
Well, don't give it away here. Then no surprise.
But yeah, this was something I had in mind that I wanted to do. That so by Christmas Day, I'd like to have it released on Christmas Day, kind of like what I did last year when I had released my cover of "All I Want for Christmas Is You" with Sarah from And Also By. So I wanted to keep that tradition rolling.
I like it. I love this idea.
Like maybe even get Central PA Music Hall of Fame involved with, promoting it. If we could do something where, we set it up as a promo for a charity or whatever, the same situation or the same scenario as
it could have legs, is what you're saying.
Yes,
it could be used for the power of good instead of the power of evil.
Right. And so me driving here had Christmas music playing, and the original came on, and I was like, this could, because there's a lot of cool little bits in there, especially with the drums, good old Phil Collins playing drums on that. There's so many good parts that could make such a good rocked up version that we could get so many people involved.
I think it's a great idea.
And it's promotion for the local scene, for the local bands in the scene, to get involved with, their own styles and their own music influences to put into this vocally, I should say. And then it also gets their name out there. It does something good for the community, does something good for the scene. And like you said, it has legs that it could do a lot more.
That's a great idea. We shall move forward with this. I put the vote. All in favor? Aye. I second that. The motion is passed. Motion is moving. That's a great idea, dude. I would absolutely love to be a part of that, and I know a lot of our musician friends in the scene would love to be a part of that. So
the next step is basically I'm gonna go through the original and see how many vocalists are in it or have like solo parts. See how many I would need to fill those spots.
Right.
To see like, okay, like who's going to sing Boy George's part? Who's going to sing George Michael's part?
I have not listened to that song in a long time too, even at Christmas. It's just not one that I think it's popped up. So I'm more of I traditionally listen to Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. If I don't listen to that at least once a season, I get very humbuggy. Yeah, I think this is a good idea. Break it down and we find out who's interested and how many people need to be interested and go from there. We could definitely do that.
Yeah, and like I said, the goal is to have it released on Christmas Day.
Well, we got 53 days.
We've got 53 days to make this happen. So if any of our singing friends see this live, I don't know. I can't read that from that far of who
I don't know
who's.
I think it says -7. Anyway, I'm underestimating our popularity again.
But yeah, if any of our singing friends have seen this live, as we've talked about this, shoot me a message, shoot Bob a message. We want to make this a thing.
Yeah, I think we should. I think that's a great idea, And I know there's people. I know you're all out there, and I know you guys would be interested in this. And I'm glad you saved that whole idea without saying anything to me until we were on air.
I wanted to mention it so bad as we were like prepping to start recording. I was like, no, I need to save this.
You got me on air, very excited about it. So I think that's a good idea. What else you got? Anything else today?
I don't think so.
I think there's a good chance we could keep this one short.
I think so.
This could be how it works from now on.
We just need to have.
We recorded 2 weeks in a row. We have something to talk about. It's coming in short. This is an editor's dream, and I'm the editor.
I think we're finally coming down with a structure.
Yes, sir. A subject per show, and we didn't ramble that much. And with that, I think that's probably it then.
I think so.
So, as always, I'm Bob.
I'm Jake.
We are Nailed It, the podcast, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye-bye.
As they say in the hip-hop. Peace!
Nailed it.
Yep, get your wiggles out.